It's bipartisan corruption, when it's a bipartisan consensus around self-dealing and self-enrichment. And that's what we have here.
It's clear there's plenty of self-dealing and self-enrichment, but who are the worst offenders? Congressman Gaetz offered to take us on a tour.
So one of the committees where people have a lot of information is the Appropriations Committee, because they can view almost any vector of government funding. And so, this is Mr. Rutherford's office. He's on the Ethics Committee and the Appropriations Committee. 152 stock trades. Stocks go through the roof. And, actually bought Raytheon stock the day that Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, imagine if every American could make money off of war.
Yeah, setting aside the whole shame and ethics questions.
Yeah, well, now we know why so many in the Uniparty, both Democrats and Republicans, were so insistent on passing a foreign aid bill that the vast majority of voters didn't want. But ironically, few of us are surprised that it passed, and passed so easily. And that's because it was par for the course for a congressional elite that are growing increasingly alienated from the values, interests, and concerns of the people. And what's so infuriating here, I was watching Alex and Alexander the Duran earlier today, and they brought this up. If you read the legacy media, like this pathetic piece by the comparably pathetic George Will in the Washington Post, the narrative was the Republican Party, the so-called isolationists in the Republican Party, they're the ones causing Ukraine to lose. Ukraine would be absolutely crushing the Russians right now as we speak. The drunk, incompetent Neanderthal Russians, were it not for the Republicans blocking a multi-billion-dollar aid package. The reason why Ukraine is losing is because of these MAGA Republicans. That's been the unanimous frame, the monolithic narrative coming out of the legacy media. And it obviously helped to buckle Mike Johnson's knees and force a vote over the weekend. But now that massive $60 billion aid package to Ukraine has been approved in both the House and the Senate, Biden is set to sign it, now we're getting a very different narrative coming out of the propaganda press. Look at this from Foreign Policy. This was their headline yesterday. Ukraine is still outgunned by Russia. And the byline reads, even if Congress passes the aid package, most of the artillery Ukraine needs won't get to the front until next year. Or take a look at the AP. More U.S. aid will help Ukraine avoid defeat in its war with Russia. Winning is another matter. But my favorite has got to be the BBC. You're going to love this. Ready? Ukraine aid package could help Kiev slow Russia's advance. I mean, this is comical. The aid package could help. I'm not saying it will, but it could help. And what could it help with? Well, it could help slow Russia's advance. Notice not stop. Russian forces are not being stopped by these tens of billions of your dollars, but they sure could make things harder for the Russians. But again, could, not would. Obviously, something else is going on here, and I don't think we have to be geniuses to figure it out. Matt Gaetz said it best. It's corruption. Plain and simple. It's politicians and their donors getting wealthy off of the military-industrial complex. I mean, look at this from Bitcoin.com. They did a study on the massive amount of money that congressmen have been making off of this war in Ukraine, and we're talking, dude, lots of money. And of course, we're talking both parties, right? Both Republicans and Democrats are investing big time in defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, and whose stocks, of course, I'm sure you're not surprised, have been surging of late. Surprise, surprise. This is classic insider trading. Congressmen and their donors and lobbyists profiting off of their own legislation. Now, you do know you can exploit these shady practices for your own benefit, right? you know you could get the same stock information these crooked politicians are getting, but you could get it perfectly legally and ethically. Did you know that? A lot of people don't, because it's a little-known SEC database that shows in real time what stocks corporate CEOs are buying up. And the idea here is that if CEOs are buying up their own stocks en masse, they must have just had a corporate meeting on earnings. that promises significant gains to their stock when it gets announced. So they want to position themselves to profit off of those gains before the announcement is made. So we can actually track those moves made by CEOs and gain a comparable advantage for ourselves. Gang, that's why you've got to click on that link below and sign up for a free training with me and my good friend Ross Gibbons. It's this Thursday, April 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Ross is an insider trading expert whose recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200% using precisely this method. It's going to be an amazing free training where you and I can learn how to trade with the exact same insider knowledge as these politicians, but legally and ethically. But don't wait. Seating registration is limited, so click on that link below right now. Register today, and I'll see you for an event that promises to change your life. But regardless, gang, the real tragedy in all of this DC corruption is how it only ended up sacrificing so many lives in Ukraine. I mean, I talked about this a couple of days back, but there was a stunning admission from Fox News. Remember, Fox is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who's been one of the staunchest supporters of the Biden policy in Ukraine. Look at this headline. The Ukraine war is lost, but Hollywood and DC don't know it. The Ukraine war is lost. Now, this came out just a day or two before Mike Johnson's betrayal vote over the weekend. And the article goes on to detail precisely how the Ukrainians stand no chance. I mean, underscore that. No chance of winning. None. Zippo. And that's because, first and foremost, Ukraine simply lacks the soldiers to win. War is a numbers game. And we've heard this time and time again from analysts such as Colonel Doug McGregor here on this channel, as well as Scott Ritter. This Fox article admits there are 7 to 10 times more Russian soldiers than there are Ukrainians on the battlefield as we speak. 7 to 10 times more Russians. The Ukrainian commander of joint forces admitted that last week. No matter what aid they get from the U.S. Congress, no matter how much money we send them, it doesn't matter. It could be literally trillions of dollars. It doesn't matter. It's not going to overcome that massive manpower deficit. There is nothing that it's going to do to overcome that massive combat troop discrepancy. Russia is totally dominant in terms of numbers. Russia's army is actually bigger today than when it invaded Ukraine 2 years ago. But it's not just the number of troops, gang. The second reason the war is lost is that, again, no matter how big the check is that betraying Republicans and their uniparty Democrats write for Ukraine, NATO's war machine simply can't keep up with Russia. It's widely admitted that NATO simply can't keep up with the munitions needed to fight. It's NATO that's been running out of missiles, not Russia. Russia, as it turns out, is stockpiled as far as the eye can see. They've been preparing for this for 10 years. So Russia's army today is bigger than it was 2 years ago at the start of the conflict, and they've officially restocked all of their previously destroyed tanks and repleted their entire missile inventory. In other words, let's cut to the chase. As Colonel McGregor said on this channel before, Russia's now stronger than they've ever been. They're stronger before this conflict began. Ukraine is not winning this. Russian forces are. And the sad reality is that all of this money that's being wasted on this terrible conflict only testifies to just how corrupt our own political class has become. Don't forget, gang, make sure to click on that link below and join me and Ross Gibbons for a free training this Thursday, April 25th, to learn how you can use DC's corruption against them for your own benefit, but legally and ethically.